AITA for not letting my boyfriend's selfishness slide? Should I have kept silent? I have been dating my boyfriend, Jake, for 3 years now. When we first met, he was the most charming and kind-hearted man I'd ever known. However, as time went on, small things began to pile up that made me question if he truly valued me as an equal partner. Jake has always had a habit of making plans without consulting me. At first, it was small things, choosing where we'd eat or deciding on weekend plans without my input. I brushed it off, thinking it was just his way of being decisive. But it escalated. A few months ago, I got a huge promotion at work, which meant a lot to me. I was excited to celebrate with Jake, but instead of acknowledging my success, he dismissed it, saying that his job was far more stressful and that I wouldn't understand real pressure. That stung, but I let it go. Things took a turn for the worse when I found out Jake had planned a vacation with his friends, without telling me. I only discovered it when I saw a charge on our shared account. When I confronted him, he acted as if I was being overly dramatic. "It's just a guy's trip," he said. "Why are you making a big deal out of it?" The final straw was when he threw himself a birthday party at our apartment without telling me. I had planned a quiet night together, thinking we'd have an intimate dinner to celebrate, but instead, I came home to a full-blown party, with loud music and people I barely knew trashing our place. When I pulled him aside to ask why he hadn't mentioned it, he just laughed and said, "I didn't think you'd mind." That night, something inside me snapped. I locked myself in our bedroom, ignoring the loud music and laughter outside. I could hear Jake laughing, completely oblivious to how upset I was. My phone buzzed with texts from my best friend Lisa, who had always warned me that Jake wasn't as perfect as I made him out to be. "You deserve better," she had said countless times. Maybe she was right. The next morning, as I walked into the kitchen, stepping over crushed beer cans and leftover pizza crusts, I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. Jake was sprawled on the couch, snoring, completely unaware of the mess he had left behind. I quietly started cleaning up, feeling a lump in my throat. Was this really the life I wanted? Later that day, I decided to take a deeper look into our finances, something I rarely did because Jake handled most of it. What I found shocked me: multiple charges that I had no knowledge of. Not just the vacation, but expensive dinners, bar tabs, and even hotel stays I had never been a part of. My stomach twisted as I considered the implications. I confronted Jake that evening. "What are these charges?" I asked, holding up my phone. He glanced at it and shrugged. "Just stuff with the guys. Hotel stays." I pressed, my voice shaking. Jake's face darkened. "Are you accusing me of something?" I didn't answer right away, but my silence spoke volumes. A tense energy filled the room, and for the first time in our relationship, I saw something in Jake's expression that unsettled me: guilt. He grabbed his jacket and left without another word. The next few days were a blur. Lisa came over, helping me piece everything together. She did some digging, and what she found made my blood run cold. Jake had been spending nights at a particular hotel, the same one his ex-girlfriend worked at. When he finally came home, I confronted him with everything. His excuses were weak, his stories inconsistent. "It's not what it looks like," he stammered. But it was exactly what it looked like. I packed my bags that night. As I walked out the door, he made one last attempt to stop me. "You're overreacting," he said. "It's all in your head." But for the first time in a long time, I trusted myself. I wasn't overreacting. I was finally seeing the truth. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Lisa helped me settle into her guest room, but even in a new space, the weight of the past 3 years clung to me like a heavy fog. I replayed every argument, every dismissive comment, every instance where I had put Jake's needs above my own. I wanted to believe I had made the right choice, but a part of me still felt guilty for leaving. Lisa, ever the voice of reason, refused to let me wallow. "You did the right thing," she reminded me. "You spent 3 years making excuses for him. Now it's time to focus on yourself." Her words resonated. I had spent so much of our relationship bending to Jake's needs that I had lost sight of my own wants and dreams. I had put my career on the back burner to accommodate his ambitions, sacrificed friendships to prioritize his social life, and overlooked red flags in the name of love. But what had I received in return? I took time to rediscover myself. I reconnected with old friends, picked up hobbies I had abandoned, and prioritized my happiness. I traveled to places I had always wanted to visit but had never been able to because of Jake's plans. With each passing day, I felt lighter, freer. One evening, months after I had left Jake, I received an unexpected message from him. "Can we talk?" I stared at my phone, my heart pounding. Part of me wanted to ignore him, to pretend he no longer existed, but another part, perhaps the part that had spent years loving him, needed closure. We met at a quiet cafe, the air thick with unspoken words. Jake looked different, as if the weight of our past had settled on his shoulders. "I messed up," he admitted, his voice laced with regret. "I took you for granted, and I'm sorry." I waited, half expecting the excuses to follow, but they never came. Instead, he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know I can't undo the past, but I wanted you to know that I regret everything." His words, sincere as they were, no longer had the power to sway me. I had spent too long waiting for him to change, hoping he would see my worth. But I no longer needed his validation. "I appreciate that," I said, standing up. "But I've moved on. And I hope you do too." As I walked away, a sense of peace washed over me. I wasn't the Aholi for calling him out. I was simply a woman who had finally chosen herself. In the months that followed, I built a life that truly felt like my own. I excelled in my career, made new friends, and even found love again. This time with someone who respected me, valued my opinions, and never made me feel small. I learned that love isn't about enduring mistreatment in the hopes of change. It's about mutual respect, growth, and genuine partnership. Looking back, I'm proud of myself. Proud that I had the strength to leave, the courage to rediscover who I was, and the wisdom to recognize what I truly deserved. And in the end, I found something far more valuable than Jake's approval. I found myself.